Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyper Conscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where Alan himself led a mastermind all about peak performance.
Peak performance.
Today, for episode number 413, we are going to talk about the different seasons of life.
Nice pauses in there, man.
Yeah, you know why?
Appreciate
Because
that.
I forgot what the episode was on. It's been a long day. We just got done our weekly mastermind because we record on Mondays, but we are going to bring this to you today.
We just did the 10 ways to stay consistent, which will be dropping
Next
Tuesday.
So this is Wednesday. It'll be Tuesday. Yeah, the following Tuesday.
The following Tuesday. Okay. So, what season of life are you in? So, first and foremost, the context. Highs, lows, ebbs, and flows.
The early bird gets the worm.
But the second mouse gets the cheese. Okay, when are they going to actually add value? Okay, here we go. All right, if you're out there listening right now, you understand as well as we do that sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes you're crushing it, sometimes you're struggling. Life is full of seasons. Life is like the changing seasons. You've got spring, winter, summer, fall, highs, lows, ebbs, and flows. So what we want to talk about today is what season of life are you in right now? And I think at least your awareness of it, is it an emotional winter? Is it an emotional summer where you're doing a lot of really good things? Is your career rolling? Is your intimate relationship struggling? Or is that rolling? Like, what season of life are you in, Kevin?
Oh, well, we know we are in the growth season. So we've been having one of those like late night deep talks about what has to happen for the podcast. Those are usually the most surreal / helpful ones because we always make big changes. But I think knowing what season you're in is super important because it's going to help you prepare for the next season. I ask Dave almost every call, what season of life are you in? Because his seasons change so quickly because he's doing so many different things. But I think people, and I'm guilty of this, I'm sure you are too, people assume that the season that they're going to be in forever.
Right.
The season of heartbreak, the season of saving money, the season of habits, the season of consistency. The season that you're in will change if you prepare for the next one.
Right.
And I think so many people, again, I'm as guilty of this as anybody, you get caught in the season, and rather than preparing for the next season, you try to weather this season for as long as possible. When you can actually change it.
You can transition.
Right. If you're broke, do better at business. If you're not happy with your body. Like if this is the season where you're like, oh my God, I'm not happy with the way I look at this dress. I'm afraid to go to the beach. I'm afraid my boyfriend's going to judge me. My girlfriend's going to judge me. Okay, you can change that by making the next season the one of discipline.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? It's almost like until you change, you'll be kind of stuck in the season you're in.
Yeah.
Because whatever season you're in for a reason. I think the key is to understand what those reasons are, not just spiritually, but like tactfully. So for example, and all the seasons are connected. So I'll give a tangible example here. So I've been saying on the podcast, and if you're listening, you've probably heard me say this several times, the season I'm in is learning how to be truthful but kind. Not only to others, but also to myself, right? If you can't be truthful with yourself, how can you be truthful with others? If you can't be compassionate with yourself and kind to yourself, how can you be kind to others? And so my real focal point, my real focus lately has been, how do I express my truth to those I love in a way that they understand and that they know they're not attacked and that they know that I love them, but I'm also honest. And so what's cool about that is that how effective I am at that season is actually creating the next season. And what I've noticed is that it's helped all the people in my life elevate, which has helped me elevate, which has also created more challenge. So I think the next season that you and I are entering is profitability and massive growth. And I think that that's predicated on the previous season and how well we did with it. I mean, even from COVID, I mean, at the beginning of COVID and quarantine, we said we're going to come out of this better, more effective, more disciplined, more consistent, and we did.
Yeah.
And it's like now we're like, oh, the world's opening back up again, and now we have even more opportunity. And it's like, how do we be even more discerning and kind of hunker down and make sure we don't lose sight of those true fundamentals?
And I think if you do it right, one season is all you need. Of course, you're going to have like learning about my partner. That's an ever-evolving season. Fitness is probably an ever-evolving season. Learning, personal development. But like if you don't know anything about exercise, you're going to have the season of learning how to exercise.
Right.
If you've never been in a relationship or you're single right now and you don't feel like you're ever going to get out of that, you will eventually.
Right.
And then when you do, your goal is to stay in that season, but make that season better.
I think the transition from season to season requires a shedding of the old you.
And admittance. You got to admit it.
Yeah.
Not a pair of mittens. Admittance.
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 So give me an example. So
you have to admit, like, the only way to get out of a negative season is to admit you're in it and then create, whether it's the shelter or whether it's the tools. You have to create the tools to get out of the season.
yeah.
That's the
Because
best
in winter,
way.
you need different tools than summer.
Yeah. So if you prepare yourself correctly, I guess this is probably the best thing. If you're in winter right now, what comes after winter? Spring?
Yeah.
So you can prepare for spring.
Right.
And then when next winter comes around, you'll be prepared for it. You'll understand, like, I've dealt with heartbreak before. I understand this is going to suck.
Yeah.
But I know that I shouldn't do my initial, knee-jerk reaction and go date somebody else. Or, money's a little bit tight in business. I know last time it was tight, I did this. I delegated more so I could sell more. I created this product. I did this online thing. I hit up my mentor who helped me. Like, I think you'll know what to do. But if you always assume you're going to be in that season, you're not going to have the necessity to create the tool.
Mm-hmm. This reminds me of something I used to say often, which is do what's difficult when it's easy.
Yes.
And then do what's easy when it's difficult. In other words, I remember Evan Carmichael saying this, like, when I'm in a really down place and I'm struggling emotionally, I'll listen to, like, upbeat music. And when I'm in a really good place and I feel really good about myself and I have high self-esteem, I remind myself, like, you
Alan's
could be doing...
Melancholy.
Yeah, Alan's Melancholy playlist. I like that playlist. Here's what I would say, and I noticed this. It's summer right now in New England. Oh, there's a lot more pulls on my attention than there normally would be in winter.
Yeah.
Do you notice that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I
nobody
think
wants to go outside when it's cold.
Right. And so the opportunity and the options, I mean, you go from quarantine where everyone is quarantined and it's also spring and it's not fully summer yet. And then when quarantine starts to lift and it's summer, there's a lot of opportunity to, like, go out and go to the beach or go to the lake and it's harder to hunker down. Whereas in the winter, there's not a lot of pulls. There's not a lot of weddings in the winter. Like,
I don't get invited to weddings anyway. If you want to invite me to your wedding, I'll send you the address. I'm gonna start sending the hyperconscious headquarters address out there.
P.O. Box.
P.O. Box. What was I gonna say? Oh, it's interesting too because your relationship with everything is gonna determine your season. So Taryn and I went to her family's house for dinner yesterday, and her brother's girlfriend was saying, like, oh, how was COVID for you? How did it treat you? How's the podcast? And I was like, honestly, it was great. Like, we have a studio now. I have more clients than I have. Alan has more clients. Other than fitness, everything was great.
Right.
For most people, they're going back to, the new normal now. Maybe they're going back to the office building or their physical place of work. Where you and I are, like, the work from home thing has always been there.
I know, yeah.
So I think that, like, for us, the season, we didn't have to learn how to work from home. It was actually easier for me to work from home because it was more acceptable and people understood, like, look, I'm working. When I'm at home, I have to work.
Right.
So I think that where you are in your life and also your relationship to the season is going to impact you a lot too. It's interesting. It's very interesting because I never thought of it like this, but I feel like our seasons are changing pretty quickly.
Yeah, they really are.
And my challenge to you, first of all, understand what season you're in. Like, what season of life are you in right now? Are you in getting clear? Are you in building habits? Are you in discipline? Are you in heartbreak? Are you in love? Are you in fitness? Are you in, healthy living? Are you in taking control of your life, admitting difficult truths, having hard conversations, whatever it is. Admit what that is and understand what's on the other side of that. It's going to be a struggle. Any season is going to be a struggle.
Why do you think there are always seasons?
Because you're always growing.
Right. And
if you feel like there's not a lot of seasons, maybe your growth is not where it needs to be.
Right.
If you feel like you've been in a dark season for too long, that's probably not your fault. I'm not going to say it's your fault, but have you been doing the work
to climb out?
Yeah, have you been turning the soil over? So when spring comes, you'll be able to harvest the seeds that you planted.
Right.
Are you actually planting seeds? Or are you so down on, like, oh, it's a It's another dark day. It's another dark day. And trust me, I understand. I've been there. But, at the end of the day, like you are the person who controls the seasons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To the best of your ability.
Right. So I have a super tangible example for this. I remember when we first got together with the team, Tiff, Amy, myself, and Kevin, and we said, okay, listen, we got to do more speeches. We want to get out there more. We want to do more speeches. We want to practice our speaking. We want to have a bigger impact. Okay. And I remember talking to the team and saying, our biggest challenge right now is how do we get more speeches? How do we get on more shows? How do we get more opportunities? Pretty soon, our biggest challenge is going to be how do we execute against all these things? And that's just, imagine, one season you're down and you're in an emotional winter. You start reading books. You start hunkering down. You start doing personal development. You start watching speeches. You start really doing hard solitude work on yourself. All of a sudden, the benefits of that is going to start happening, and it's going to bring more opportunity to you. Now, all of a sudden, emotional winter turns into summer, spring, and then summer. And so if you spend all winter preparing for spring, and then you spend all spring planting seeds, don't be surprised when fall comes and the harvest is more than you can handle. And that's okay, because that's where you learn and elevate again. The problem is if you're not doing each season effectively, if you're not taking advantage of the seasons, you're probably not. Yeah, I would say here's a mirror. If there's not a lot of change in your life, there's probably not a lot of growth.
Yeah.
That's like an interesting breakthrough that I mean, it sounds so obvious, but I feel like I just understood it to an even deeper extent than I ever have before. It's like, I was with a friend recently. I remember asking, like, how are you? I hadn't seen him in 9 months, right? Quarantine, dear friend. And he's like, oh, same old shit. Like, and I remember he asked me, and I'm just like going on and on and on about like, oh, well, now we're doing 5 episodes a week, and we're doing a mastermind every weekday. We've got these new mentors, and like, I was just going, and I got to the point where I'm like, I feel like I'm bragging, when in reality there just is so much new. Like, week 17 of the mastermind, that didn't exist a year ago. That didn't even exist 6 months ago, and it's like 10 clients, like all these people we're meeting, networking, all that. Dude, we're very blessed to have a lot of change. It's really challenging, but like a lot of growth too. If you're not changing much and your seasons aren't changing much, you're probably not growing that much, and that's just the truth.
Well, and I think the thing is you can change your I think a lot of people change their perception. Like, I think a lot of people, the season stays the same, but they have like surprise warm days in November where it's like, oh, today's like a really good day. Like, today's like a really good day. And then I think they assume that's the way it's going to be forever, and it's not, because they didn't put the work in to change the season. It's just one of those days. You know how you ever been ice fishing in a t-shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Those days happen.
Yeah.
But that's not the season.
Snowboarding in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
What's a tangible example for you? And the timer's going to go off shortly, but I really want to try to bring this down to earth. Where was the season where you stayed too long and didn't do the work to get out of it?
Comfort. I always talk about my situationship. It was comfort. I was like, literally, I was going to this young lady's house before she got home from work, because I could just get in whenever I wanted, smoking weed. I would work like 4 hours a day, and I wondered why I wasn't successful. It was just comfort. It was situationship, getting high, eating
Powerful.
whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. It was interesting. But I didn't know what being an entrepreneur was.
I know.
This was right around, remember when we interviewed Corey
Hageman.
and Josh Bryant? That was literally, I was high at her apartment when I got the message from Corey.
No kidding.
Yeah. That's not that long ago.
I know.
But that season, like, I think that season of life for me was like kind of living it up. Like, I don't have a job anymore. I get to be my own boss. I don't think I knew what I wanted to do. This season right now is like build. Like, we have a studio. Some dude made fun of me in the elevator the other day because he looked me up and down. I had sandals and socks on. He's like, oh, you work for yourself, huh? Goddamn right I do.
Yeah, right.
But that's cool.
Little does you know what that takes.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's a powerful. Thank you for admitting that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I think we've all had that.
Yeah.
We've all had those seasons of like, it's not taking responsibility or
Yeah.
hiding from the truth or self-medicating, whatever that vice is.
Alcohol. Yeah.
I think we all have those. I think that's natural. And I think when you admit that the season you're in is not the season you want to be, that's step number one. But then you got to start looking for a way out. It's not going to happen on its own, most likely.
My seasons happen quicker now.
For
like,
sure.
Like I notice them quicker. I think that's what hyperconscious is like realizing quicker the season you're in and going, oh, this isn't sustainable. This is like, let's say I remember I went through a season recently where I was watching a lot of movies, and I love movies, and I tried to pick inspiring ones, of course, but I remember I was watching The Firm. Be quick. 3-hour long movie. And I remember right in the middle of it, I'm like, I love this movie. This is fire. It's really good. But I shouldn't fucking be watching this movie right now. I have work to do. You know what I mean? Like, grow up, Alan, right? So after that, I was like, you know what? And I journaled about it the next day, and I said, from now on, just watch inspiring movies with Emilia. That way it's a win-win. It's quality time. You get to relax, R&R and all that. Instead of like me alone, like just watching movies like on the reg. And here's what would happen. I'd eat. My meal would be over in 20 minutes, and then I'm still hammering the movie because it's like it's already got me. You know,
I do that in the mornings. In the mornings, I get home from the gym, I make my post-workout meal, and then I watch whatever gets me through my meal, basically.
But then you have the discipline to stop.
I got to be here, man.
Right.
I got to be here on the calls. So my challenge, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, number one, what season are you in your life? Number two, when, if ever, is the last time you were in that season? Okay, take that. What did you learn from the last time? Because if you're in a season of pain, you haven't learned the lesson yet, right? I think mistakes are amazing unless you make the same ones over and over. Mm-hmm. So if you're revisiting the same seasons over and over, that just means you haven't prepped enough yet. And that's fine. The fact that you know that means now you can do it. This isn't like, now you don't have to say like, oh, why do I feel the way I feel? You're in a season. Everybody goes through seasons of finding themselves, of finding others, of, leveling up, of leveling out, of burning down. Like, it's normal.
Right.
So ask yourself, have I ever felt this way before? What did I do to get out of it last time? Or did I just ride it out and it went away eventually by itself? You probably changed your perception, but either way, that's my challenge. Because if you can understand what you're dealing with, you can change it. That's what hyperconscious is. If you're not good at something, you can get better. Right? If you're afraid of something, you can put yourself out there. That's if everybody you see on this podcast that we've interviewed, Amy, Tiff, Alan, myself, we were all in a bad season.
Right.
And we decided, like, look, I don't want to be in this season anymore. And did it, lead us to where we are? Yes, it took time, though.
Yeah.
You're not going to go from burning down to the best place you've ever been.
Not overnight, but
no, but you could eventually.
Yeah.
Right? And you won't if you don't start. So that's my challenge.
It's a fire challenge. I'm in the season of tidying everything up, trying to get more out of my time, and figure out what season you're in, like Kevin said, and figure out what season you want to be in. Raise the standard for the next season.
That's what you have.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just started working with a couple new podcast clients. If you are looking to start a podcast, if you already have a podcast, if you're like half in, half out on your podcast because you don't know what you're doing, feel free to reach out. Kevin at the Hyperconscious. T-Mac would be proud. Hyperconsciouspodcast.com, and or you can message me on Instagram at NeverQuitKid, and we will do a free 30-minute consultation. I ain't trying to sell you nothing. Just want to help.
Folks, you can also jump on a free 30-minute strategy session with myself as well if you're looking to dial in your life, get clarity, understand your habits. If you really want to design a life that's on your own terms and that it's headed somewhere great, I'm very future-oriented. If you want help in the future arena, I've got your back. Also, every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come network with like-minded people. Come learn. These are fire. We pour so much work into these masterminds. I mean, we spent, 5 hours today on this mastermind. And yes, you get them on the episode, but connecting with us, emotionalized learning, my girlfriend and I were talking about this. Emotionalized learning is the most powerful learning. If you like us, if you trust us, join us. Let us meet you. We want to meet you. Please join us on those masterminds. And we're actually going to be live on Facebook on those now.
We are. I put a poll up in Hyperconscious Nation and said, what are you struggling with the most? And most people, I don't remember the percentage, put getting around like-minded people.
Right.
If you were one of the people that voted for that and you're not showing up to the mastermind, you are jeffing yourself because we have amazing people. Everybody from speakers and authors all the way down to people who are just starting their journey. If you are looking to connect with somebody, they are in there. And if they're not, they will be eventually. Like, we are doing this forever.
We literally have everyone put their Instagram handles and connect with each other. That like it's a community. It's beautiful. Please join us.
It's like a live episode basically. You get to talk to people. You can ask us questions. We get to see your pretty faces, which is never a bad thing, and you get to see us screw up all the behind the scenes stuff as well.
Fact.
So that's
true.
always good. All right, we're good.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this. We love you. I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, this is
It's something we haven't talked about a ton. We will talk to you on Friday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.